What's going on, everybody? My name is Denzel Williams and welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's episode, we're gonna talk about a pretty big purchase that I just made, and it's probably a purchase that most people have done or going to do in the near future. But for me, it was one of those to where I needed it real bad. So if you can't tell by the title, we're gonna be talking about the purchasing process, the research process, and everything that kind of went into my decision making when it comes to getting a brand new Model Y Tesla. Now for me, I had done my fair share of research on various cars that range from probably Mustangs to Audi A4s to various sedans that I felt could not only just fit my driving habits, just how much or how little I actually drive myself. So for me, once it started to look more and more into EV cars, I started to notice, of course, Tesla, because it's kind of hard nowadays not to see it. It's pretty much you go outside, you're going to see a Tesla model of some form or fashion. And over, a course of a couple months, I started to take a look at some other YouTubers who already own Teslas and kind of their process of, what they like about it, what they don't like about it, the driving style, the maintenance, stability. So everything that kind of encompasses a car purchase is something that I, looked into and took note of. So for me, after a while, it started to make more sense that, a Tesla of some sort would fit my lifestyle, fit me. So that's kind of why I started to lean towards more of buying a Tesla. Once I made the decision between the Model 3 and the Model Y, and clearly the Model Y won for me, just due to the fact that it was more spacious. I think that it was a little bit different than what I'm used to. I'm used to just a regular four-door sedan, and this was kind of like a crossover SUV. And I just wanted to see what that felt like. And it seemed like, from what I was researching and seeing, is that it handled just as good as the Model 3s, just depending on what do you want. And I was just like, hey, Model Y, you kind of got me sold at it. So I wanted to go take opportunity to actually test drive it. Because I heard up and down stories of some people say they love the way Teslas drive or love the driving experience when it comes to Tesla, and some people don't. So I wanted to go see for myself. So I went to my local Tesla showroom, and it was a great experience. It was one of those where it was different from a traditional car dealership to where, salesperson gets in the car, tells you about the car, you drive it around. With them at the Tesla showroom, it was more so like, hey, if you feel comfortable, by all means, take the car. We'll set you up with a location to drive to, and you just bring it on back. And for me, that was a little bit shocking because I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I've never drove his car before. You got a lot of confidence in me to just, take this around the corner for a few miles and bring it back. So that's a lot of confidence, but they will get in the car with you if you do feel uncomfortable and kind of talk with you and walk you through any questions that you may have. But for the most part, after that test drive, I can see, why they have it set up the way they do, because I was sold at that point. Combining the research on top of the test drive, I was like, yeah, I think this is probably gonna be the car for me because it felt right. I think when you do and make certain decisions, you get into a point to where it's like, this feels good. And there was something about that driving experience for me that I was like, hey, I'm in the market for a car, and I think this is probably gonna be the one for me. And on top of that, I've heard pretty rave reviews from those that I've met randomly. So story time, there was, I was taking an Uber, and the Uber driver was driving a Tesla. So I asked them about, what their experience was. They said they had a Model 3 for about, a couple years. They said, little to no maintenance. They changed the tires just because they drive so much. But outside of that, the charging wasn't that much at home, and it worked out for them. So, running into a few feel-good stories from random people throughout, just exchanges in life also helped me kind of make that decision as well too, to kind of justify, what I was doing. So, like I said, I think that's part of that process of information gathering that you can use to kind of make a decision to see if, are people that you run in contact with, are they saying good things about it? I mean, that's with anything, but are they saying good stuff about, especially when it comes to a car, which is a big purchase, for anybody. So take heed into that, and I think, that'll also help you, make those decisions along the way too. So once I demoed the car and test drove it and everything, that was around May 25th-ish, end of May, 25th, 26th, something around that time. So at that point, I started to focus on, the real purchase part, the money, pretty much what everybody's focused on. So at that point, Tesla had a deal going where it was 0.99 financing for those who were qualified, and the showroom people at Tesla showed me, what that would look like, and if you put X amount of money down and things of that nature. So, for me, I had never done the auto car experience. My car was, my previous car was owned, bought out cash. It was one of those, what you call a cash car, where it's just like, hey, you pay this person $3,000-4,000, you got the car, you know what I mean? You're good. So for me, this was a different experience. And at first it was a little nerve wracking. It was a little nervous because it's something that you've never done. So anything that you've never done before, you're kind of a little iffy about. But over the time, I looked at a few different things, and I was just like, hey, this seems like a pretty good deal. So ended up, doing all that with Tesla, and I got approved for the 0.99 financing. On top of that, they had a $7,500 tax credit that you could either use off the sticker price of the car once you went on there and picked whatever car that you want, or as far as the car color and any other added accessories, I would say, to the car that you wanted. So from that point, you were able to take $7,500 off that price. So for me, 0.99 financing at the time, $7,500 off the car, I was like, hey, this is kind of a no-brainer to do. But what I didn't know is before I even applied for everything, that it was all done through an app, which is crazy to me because, normally like the traditional way of go getting a car is you go to the car dealership, you go deal with the car salesman shows you everything that you think you want, you may not want, try to upsell you, try to, bargain, you try to bargain to get the price down, they try to bargain, get the price up to find a healthy balance. Like none of that takes place with Tesla. You do everything through the app and you don't even have to deal with anybody. And I think that's just more of a common experience, especially for me, who my last experience at a car dealership, I really didn't like it. It was kind of just too much. It felt like they were just pushing me to get into a car versus, me trying to find the car that fits me the best. So, but again, not hating on car dealerships. I'm pretty sure there are great ones out there. I just had a bad experience, but don't let that, thwart you from, going somewhere else and having a better experience. But anyway, going back into the actual app itself, it kind of just walks you through everything that you need. So you go through your registration portion, whatever state that you're in. You go through the trade-in process. If you do have a trade-in, it values that if needed. I didn't have a trade-in. From there, you go to like the financing option, and you can do third-party financing where you do outside financing that's not through Tesla. And there are various banks. You can go through whatever bank you want to go through, and then you kind of walk it through there. It kind of lets you know which options to select to get to that point. Like I said, for me, the 0.99 financing, I was like, hey, once I went through that, it took maybe about 5 minutes to get a response. It was very quick. So once I put it in, it was probably less than 5 minutes, honestly. And I knew a decision right then that, the offer that I had put on the table was approved, and, everything was good to go from that point. And then it walks you through picking your insurance, and you have to upload, specific documents in relation to your insurance. And you can only get your insurance once you have your VIN number. And throughout this entire process, this literally took a week. It was probably a week from when I got the approval from like Sunday. Monday, it was asking me about, if I had any trade-ins or any approvals or anything like that. Each day, it kind of progressed me into the next process. And like I said, it took a week from me starting the process of actually purchasing it. And there is a $250 fee that you pay. It's not towards the car or anything. It's just like a flat out fee that you pay them just to purchase the car, to get into the buying process. So keep that in mind as well too. But again, once you do that, then you have access into being able to, walk through the registration, financing options, and, whatever you wanted to do, lease or anything of that nature as well too. So just keep that in mind. But it walks you through each day almost, at least for me. And it took a week from being able to enter in all the information and actually giving me a delivery date to pick up the car. And I probably could have picked up the car 2 days earlier. I just wanted it to be on a weekend where I was a little bit, more free to be able to go pick it up. When it came to the pickup date, They let you pick whichever date that you want once you walk through pretty much the entire process that I talked about earlier. And they'll have various times that will work for you, and you will just come by there and pick it up. For me, it was about 30 minutes away from my home, so it wasn't too bad. And once I got there, it was a little bit, I guess, unorganized a little bit, because once I walked in, I kind of didn't know where to go. I kind of just walked up to the front desk and like, hey, I'm here to pick up. It wasn't one of those kind of where they greeted me. It just seemed like kind of all over the place. And to the service center that I went to, it seemed like they were busy, so I get it. But at the same time, it kind of was like, I wish it was a little bit more organized to kind of like just walk you through it. It was a little bit better experience. But once I actually talked to somebody and spoke with somebody, they were extremely nice. They, tell you everything that you need. You sign a few papers, and at the most, we were there for probably about 25, 30 minutes. And most of that was kind of just waiting, because they were so busy. There were so many people in there that particular day and time that, we couldn't really just get everything done in that one swoop. So it's kind of had to wait a little bit. And then from there, they walk you to the car and you pretty much inspect it. So for my car, it wasn't a lot of defects or anything like that I could see. A lot of the videos that you may run across, you may see people say like, oh, I saw this or I saw that. But for me, it seems like they're getting better as far as the build quality, at least from my vantage point. So it's one of those things to check out, and make sure that your car, if you do order one, just make sure you have a good understanding, and make sure there's no gaps in between the doors and various paint chips or anything like that. But mine was pretty good, so I really can't complain about that part. Overall, so what it all boils down to is, why Tesla? I've had my car for roughly a couple weeks, and people I've come in contact with, the people who know that I have the car and everything, they're just like, why Tesla? And I think for me at the time, it was just, to be honest, it was one of those cars where I was really, really interested in. I was really interested in the tech aspect of it, and I'll get more into that later on into another video that talks a lot more about the tech aspect of it, and what all it can do and what it can't do, and what it's good at and what's not good at. I think that was what interests me. The deal that I got as far as the 0.99 financing and the $7,500 off, the look and feel of the car, me driving the car, that pretty much sold me, because I'm a person that does a lot of research, especially when it comes to big purchases, and a big purchase is over $100 for me. So this clearly reaches that mark and beyond. But it was one of those to where I was like, this is something that I think I can grow with, I can learn with, and educate others who are, in that process of looking at this car and seeing if it's something for them, and not only for them, but maybe for them and their family. So it was one of those where it became somewhat of a no-brainer. And I think that the time will tell the decision, if this was the best decision or good decision, bad decision. But I think at the time, it was the best decision for me. And, I have a quote that I follow. Sometimes you don't always have to make the right decision. You just have to make the decision right. And with that, I'm going to make this decision right, because I think that it was a pretty good deal at the time, and I felt great about it. I felt like I had a great car, and honestly, I was coming from a 2002 Kia Optima. I love my baby, don't get me wrong. I love my baby, but it was time. It was time to let her go and move on into something that, like I said, I can grow with, learn with, and be a part of this new emerging technology that I'm hoping that one day a lot more companies start to adapt and make it to where it's more universal. And so, we'll see. But again, more videos will come on the Tesla as far as accessories, as far as customization, because I definitely want to get involved into that. So feel free to stick around. More videos about the Tesla, and more videos are coming up with new products as well too. So again, I appreciate you for sticking around this far. If you haven't already, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and let me know what you think. Is Tesla something that you're interested in buying, or you're interested in telling about a friend, or if there's questions that you have about the buying process in general, feel free to drop a comment below. Let me know. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. And, I have no problem with that. I'm looking forward to hearing from you and seeing you in the comments. So until next time, much love. Peace.